Welcome to the Board Game Snobs podcast. Critically harsh reviews with a touch of class.
And go.
Do the intro.
I'm doing the intro.
Do it
Welcome to the Board Game Snobs. It's me, the showpiece, Enrique.
The
Yes,
showpiece.
the showpiece.
The mantle?
Yeah. Well, I'm not the star. I'm the showpiece.
You darn right.
Who's the star?
I am the star. This is Jerry
Why are we here?
for the show.
Oh, the show?
I come for the big show.
Are we talking about something?
And Gabi's the host.
Hello, I'm Gabi. Welcome to the Board Game Snobs. I'm the primary host. Jerry's here. Enrique's here.
Send us an email at boardgamesnobs@gmail.com.
That's right. That's how addresses work in the internet.
Yes, that is dot communication.
Is that what that stands? I thought no, it's commercial
Dot, yeah.
or commerce.
Speaking of commercials, we have to do one. We are financially not financially. We are obligated.
Financially, I
should-
wish.
All right, there's two things. Number one, this episode is like an Inception episode. We're recording this before we record the next podcast, which is the next podcast
Nobody needs to know any of this information. It's unnecessary.
as a special guest. But we are also.
Why are you talking about the special guest we've already had on the show due to the way this is going to be released?
I know, but he was special. But we haven't recorded him yet.
Thanks, Dan.
I'm Dan.
We haven't recorded. He might not come on. He might suck.
I'm Dan. They are almost professional level comedians.
Don't say
Okay.
that.
But you have to do an ad read because we're being featured on Podbean.
This podcast is sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the easiest way to create your own podcast. We use Podbean to host Board Game Snobs. Download the free Podbean podcast app to start, record, and publish your very own podcast in minutes. Podbean provides everything you need to run your podcast, and you can record and publish episodes directly from the app on your phone. Download the free Podbean app today. That's Podbean. Head on over to Podbean at www.podbean.com and use the code PODCAST21 for your first 30 days of podcast hosting for free. Check it out.
You have sold out.
If only.
Podbean has made you read that because we're being featured on Podbean because they're the people who host this podcast.
And you had to choose Podbean.
Isn't that weird?
Podbean is our host.
Yeah,
But so,
Podbean is
I wanna-
just like
You don't what? Tell me your knowledge of Podbean.
nothing.
You
but
don't
it's
even
like-
eat beans. You don't even listen to this podcast.
Yes.
We
I'm surrounded by.
should be hosted on podlegume.com. I would prefer that.
I want to know.
No, I don't. What am I doing? I'm trashing Podbean. No, we love Podbean. Actually, Podbean does really good for us.
You have been living a lie.
What's that?
You have said forever that you're the host, but now I find out that Podbean is the host. You are the co-host.
Wow.
You
I
are
am I'm
legitimately-
still the primary host.
No, they're the primary host. Are your
They-
servers heated up?
Yes.
Are you putting out stuff?
Yes, I got my hot plates ready.
This is not your beans are cold, sir. And
I'm being what?
that ad read was mediocre at best. Just saying. You're getting there. You're getting there.
How do you don't even know. You can't even read.
I read fine.
I guarantee you're going to stumble and stutter when it's your turn.
I
Actually,
read
no,
the
that's
fine
my
print.
thing.
I read. I'll do commercials. You know what? That's what we should start doing. We should just start doing commercials for things that we're not sponsored by so that maybe people will be like, hey, these guys do good commercials.
I can do commercials.
For what?
Yeah, I'm just in the background with a sombrero, mustache.
But that doesn't mean
what
anything.
is that a commercial for?
I
Take
don't
your
know.
sombrero off.
Sombreros and mustaches.com?
We're not
Yes.
selling salsa.
Hey, let me check, see if that's available. Sombreros and mustaches.com.
According to the Facebook, the number one topic that people want us to talk about is Enrique's facial hair. Hair?
Hair.
He is not the heir to the empire. He's the hair. Why? So what is the
What?
deal with this mustache that you got going on now?
I just have it. Just to have it, to be honest.
DNS error assist. Sombreros and mustaches.com is available, Enrique. Just saying.
So you could review salsa or sombreros. You don't eat salsa.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Name your favorite salsa.
Just salsa.
Just
like-
salsa. Is there a salsa brand called Just Salsa?
There probably is. Let me check it out. See if it's available.
Are you confused by
I can't believe it's salsa.
the names of all these corporate salsa brands? Perhaps you should try Just Salsa.
JustSalsa.com. It's legit. This is a web magazine dedicated to Latin music, dance, and culture.
Oh, it's not about
Salsa
salsas.
dancing.
Not about condiments.
No one cares
Salsa
about
is
that.
very happy dancing.
It's very
Yes.
it's very hippie.
Oh,
You gotta gyrate those hips, rotating them to and fro.
and you can't lie.
No, you can lie, just your hips can't.
It's very what's the word? Sensual with your hips.
Gyrations?
Not so much gyrating because they don't gyrate.
Undulate. I like that word. Sounds
Undulate?
very sexual.
What's undulate?
Undulating.
Undulating?
Yes.
Undulating?
Not undulating.
What's undulating mean?
Undulating is kind of like writhing,
It's like when you show up early.
having a smoothly rising and falling form or outline. Undulating.
Oh.
It's very sensuous.
Undulate.
Undulate.
Here I am.
Undulate.
Is that what that means?
No, it's undulate.
Oh, you're Brazilian or Chilean. You should know
Or
these
both.
things.
Undulate like hurry up.
You're Hispanic.
But I mainly act white for some reason.
What does that mean? That's racist. Take that back.
How do you act white?
He eats a lot of cheese.
Yeah, cheese. I just have like a plate of cheese in my room, waiting for me to just consume.
I did notice that. So I picked him up the other day. He helped me move my couch because he's the official person when you need something heavy lifted. I just call Enrique. And when you go by his home to collect him, he does have a chronic cheese plate in his room. Like just various cheeses, which is kind of odd.
Yeah.
Soft cheeses, white cheeses, yellow cheeses, hard
Swiss
cheeses, Swiss cheeses, brie. My favorite cheese here recently has been Gouda.
Really?
I enjoy the Gouda. I enjoy Gouda, not just on burgers, but just plain Gouda, not just the smoked Gouda. Email us your favorite cheese. And you don't have a favorite cheese, you just American,
Yeah. It's just I
which is
eat
a cheese product. It has more chemicals in it than it does anything.
It has more chemicals than cheese.
It's basically made by Whiz cheese is
It's
made
not
by
even
like
cheese.
Dow Chemical. It's like it's bad for you. I wonder if cheese is very American. We
Yeah.
like cheese on everything.
Yeah.
We put cheese on.
It's mainly cheese and bacon.
There's
Maybe.
American cheese. What is American cheese
It's not,
even?
no, it's just chemicals. It doesn't even have any cheese in it.
What
It's generic cheese.
milk? Does it have milk?
No, it's like a milk product.
Yeah.
It's a cheese product. If you read it, it says cheese product. It is not even considered to
Ah.
be cheese.
So it's not like even a cheddar. A cheddar's like the lowest form of cheese, right?
I'm sorry, huh?
No.
What's the lowest form of cheese?
Well, no, there is no.
On the cheese snobbery chart,
I enjoy a good English Stilton myself.
Paris Stilton. What?
Paris Stilton. That's a good one.
Next. We got to get this one on the road because our special guest from last week's podcast is fixing to come on.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I guess we're racing through it, I guess you could say.
I know.
the space race.
Space race. It sucks.
Yeah, it's
I
pretty bad.
kickstarted this game.
Congratulations.
I did a little research on this game before we played it.
It
What?
doesn't show.
Well, I forgot how to play it because I had already learned to play it a month ago when I brought it over, and then you were going to learn it. I do like the presentation. Space Race is a engine building / kind of what is it? Like a not I'm gonna say deck builder.
It's not a deck builder.
Well, you start. It's odd because you have two separate hands. You have these hands of these
Card drafting?
cards that you have that activate the other cards that you put out to try to get
Tableau builder.
tableau builder type thing. I love the artwork on this game, and there's nothing really wrong with it component wise. I think my biggest issue with Space Race has been, well, the reviews of it. I've seen people kind of give it middle of the road to above average reviews. And what I have found in this game is that it's taken a very simple mechanic and added too much to it. Like sometimes when you try to twist something, you try to make it different, you end up making it just, at some point, after you've taken something so much away, it becomes something different. This is not so much a deck builder. It's not really a tableau builder or engine builder. It's got elements of it, but none of it really works very well. And the main mechanic of this game is that you have a hand of cards. You put into a pile the cards that you think you want to come out. All the players do this. They shuffle these cards. They then go out and are segregated into four.
Into the universe.
Yes, into the four separate types of technologies.
Which was a stupid phrasing for that. I didn't like that.
And then the people play kind of like...
That's very harsh. I don't mean that. I'm sure these people that created this game put a lot of work into that. But it's called technology, propaganda, all these different levels, but yet the whole thing is called universe.
Well, it is this is themeless. There is no theme here. I mean, the theme doesn't come through well at all. But when you collect these cards and you're trying to play them from your hand into your little lab and into your little agency, and then you lay down this other card, kind of like a Mission Red Planet that has a number on it and activates certain color cards, and that activates the cards that are in your row. And it sounds like it should work, but none of it's really fun. None of it's really thematic. The artwork's very well done, but there's just too many little finicky steps. Plus, the rule book is lost in translation. The rule book was awful. There's various
just like Bill Murray.
There's various little things out there that are not making any sense.
Okay. First, we couldn't even find where maybe we overlooked it, but I could not find what the investments spot was for on the board.
Nor how it operates.
Didn't know the purpose of that. My issue, it's a bunch of mechanics that have no relation to each other. It is just, hey, we can put this in the game, we can put that in the game, we can put this in the game to make a game. Completely themeless. I felt nothing playing this game. What it did was irritate me. I felt irritation. I guess that counts. But I didn't like, you're supposed to, depending on player count, take from the explored universe, put 2 cards out into the universe. Then you choose your, what was that freaking card called again?
Your activation card, I think.
Well, it
I
wasn't
can't remember what it was called.
We just played this game. Our memories are terrible. You choose one of 12 or something cards in your hand, and that card will then activate your tableau. After you choose that, then you go ahead and reveal all the other cards that are in the explored part. Why not just choose your card and then reveal all the cards? I don't understand that.
There's a lot of little things that are kind of nitpicky about this game. I found it interesting that you're not really going into space. You're building a space agency, and it doesn't really feel like a race. So
there's nothing thematic. Like you have you might be NASA, I might be the Soviets, you might be China, but none of that correlates into your actions at all. It is simply just a moniker to differentiate my corporation from yours. And I can't even do anything different with mine. It's literally just dealing with the cards that are out.
You're being really harsh.
Sorry, I'm kind of
have gotten very... You don't like this game.
It's super tactical.
You don't like this game.
I hate this game.
Okay, that's good. So I want to bring up this topic about why you're seething with hate. So
it's flowing through me.
Let it flow. Well, I have this interesting...
Let it flow, let it flow, let it flow.
Mariah Carey. At what point is it all right to demean and be critical of someone else's art? And so I've rolled this around in my head because I have.
Glad there's something up there. Old cornball joke right
when
there.
people make, whether it be movies or books or whatever it might be, at what point does a form of art get to a level where now there's critics? You know what I'm saying? It's like, at what point does an art form get so cultural or so big, whatever term you want to use, that now it's okay for it to be criticized by the general public?
You're asking the wrong guy.
Okay, because I find it interesting. So, like on Facebook, like if you go into the generalized board game group,
you mean
Facebook,
Meta?
Yes, the metaverse. You are not allowed to say anything negative about a board game because it is
because you could be hurting the people that created this thing's feelings.
Correct.
They put a lot of work into that.
It's not mainly the people who created the game. It's mainly the people who enjoyed the game.
So you think being critical of a game was... Wait a minute, Enrique. Enrique may say said something that's actually somewhat interesting, and we need to pause and ponder this. If you like a game and a lot of people hate that game, Does that hurt your feelings?
Well, we're talking about like a business.
Of course not. You play Fortnite.
A board game business. They don't care if the game is being hated as long as they are making sales upon.
Well, you're talking about
upon
two
the
different
game.
factors here, though.
Yeah, two different things. But let's say there's a game that you like you really enjoy this
We're talking
game.
designers at this point.
You have a game,
okay.
and everybody says this game is awful, but you love it. You yourself love this game.
Yes.
So you're playing whatever card game it is, the Pony Hero, whatever you call it, My Little Pony Hero card game, deck building, and you love it, and everybody else is saying, Enrique, that game is stupid. Does that hurt your feelings?
If I love the game, yes,
It does.
It would hurt my feelings.
God,
well, I think it falls, and it's an easy, cheap way out, but also it makes sense. It's your opinion.
Yes.
So
that is cheap,
And
as is your opinion.
it is. Sure, take that with a grain of salt, as that's your opinion about my opinion.
No, my opinion's right.
Because-
But the easy way out of all this stuff, and I see many people say it, and they're like, if this is your type of game, check it out. And that's a cheap way out.
Because
And also saying, but that's my opinion. That's also a cheap way out of
wonder
a critique.
how much I can get away with by saying,
But that's just my opinion.
But
That's how you keep... Sorry, Enrique, go ahead.
But anyone who loves a game deeply or just feels like it's a good game, they will label the person who hates the game just critics mainly. And
So you think people try to discount other people's opinions
Discount double check.
when they don't align with their own?
yes,
I might do that occasionally.
That's called Twitter.
But
Yeah.
I do that when I'm right, which is quite often. I think that
There's so much that go, and of course, Dan Thoreau would be the guy to talk about this, and this is his whole field. But criticizing something, you're doing it from a particular point of view, being yours. So how can you speak for me and what I like? That's hard to do. That's why you have people that are like, well, check out all these different. We're speaking board games here. Check out all these different board game reviewers. Find one that tends to align with yours. He tends to like this game, this game, this game, this game. I like those games. He tends to hate this mechanic, this mechanic, this mechanic. I don't like those mechanics either. So now we're on the same side generally.
that's true. But my point is, when somebody makes a board game, what gives you the right to be critical of it? I mean, when you think about the whole
Free will.
gambit, though, is like legitly,
Speaking of cards, Gambit.
our podcast is somebody takes time and energy and money to create something that they themselves find value in. We purchase it, and now we go onto the virtual airways and either A, enjoy it and express that, or B, rag on it.
Okay, you said it. Take our podcast. What if people... Are there podcast reviewers? There's got to be, surely.
We should do that.
Yeah.
We should listen to other people's
I'm going to listen to
podcasts.
other podcasts and say, wow, this one sucks.
What's up with that?
But then there has
Board Sunday.
there has to be certain criteria. So you have said, and others have said, when I say I don't have any talents, I don't have no creative side to me. Well, speaking, doing your podcast. Okay, if you want to go with that, then say someone harshly criticizes our podcast, which they have. How does that affect you, and what does that make you think in regards to their opinion of podcasts?
It doesn't bother me a bit, and here's why. Because I do this podcast for enjoyment. I don't sit around and think of the podcast as an art form or something that I am producing not only for mass consumption, or I'm not producing this podcast and putting it out there to say, look how great and grand it is. I'm doing this for fun, and I'm accomplishing that mission. It would be different if this podcast was a business and we are trying to produce something that is of high quality. Then when we're putting forth all of our great effort, comes back and starts criticizing it, then I tend to be a little more attentive. Thank you, Enrique, for their criticism. So I think it depends on what is the purpose of this object? What are you doing? Whether it is you're creating a board game, creating a podcast, what is it?
Well, I think most board game designers their first board game, at least, they're not going to make any. It's not for the intent of making money. That's the, common joke byline in the industry. You don't go into board game design for money making unless you're Richard Garfield or somebody. So they're not making money off of it. They just enjoy doing it. Now, granted, they do hope that it receives some sort of I would say anybody that does anything, whether it's for fun or hobby, if you're putting out into the public eye, you're hoping for good feedback.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, if we put out this podcast and person after person emailed and said, y'all need to stop, y'all suck.
It doesn't stop people. I've been emailing Superboard Sunday forever saying, look, Frankie is dull.
How dare you talk about
Christian? Just stop.
How dare you?
Just stop.
I love you guys. Hey, hang in there.
None of them. Just please stop. Please. But yes, that can be
part of the Gateway Network.
Yes, the Gateway Network. Do you like mediocre podcasts? Actually,
welcome to our show.
Actually,
Jerry, you gotta be self-deprecating somewhat.
I don't do self-deprecation.
You got to do that.
He's incapable.
What's the purpose?
He is incapable of self-deprecation. Have you ever self-deprecated?
No.
That sounds like something you do in your pants.
Listen, why have this?
Oh no!
Why have
self-deprecated?
Why have this faux humility? It does nothing. All it is
it's not a faux humility. Well, I mean, yes, it could be. But it makes you relatable.
No, it doesn't.
It does too. If you act like a jackass snob a whole time, no one's going to like you.
No. What self-deprecating is a signal to others to either correct you and compliment you, or a way that you utilize those phrases so that you then can go out and say something else.
No, well, that's true. I'm not going to say that's not true, but it also makes you relatable.
No,
we're veering way off subject.
Nobody self-deprecates on an everyday basis.
I do. I self-deprecated this morning 3 times.
Nobody does that though. And in normal conversation, do people not just go out and do that? This is not. Maybe I
think they do.
Well, who does this?
Not you. It's an unfamiliar concept.
Who else does this besides you?
I think Enrique does it all the time.
Who else does it besides the complete and total
you are the
ill-adjusted people on this podcast?
No, you're the only one that doesn't self-deprecate.
I don't self-deprecate because it's useless.
Because you have this high opinion of yourself.
It's hard to find. It's hard to find something to self-deprecate about.
I don't think you consider it useless. I think you consider it needless in a lot of situations. Of where it does.
Well, Jill,
no. Like, he doesn't feel like it needs to be complimented or anything like that, because it's there.
It's true.
A lot of times it's like letting people be aware of, yes, I know I have this defect in my whatever, personality or whatever.
Now, for Jerry, it's the logical term of just
deprecation
of where I don't need to say this because it doesn't require for me to compliment it or give any love to it, basically.
Whatever he said, I agree with. I don't know what he just said, but it feels right.
And then for me, I feel like I should do it because I choose to do it.
Well, do you believe you have a shortcoming, Jerry Baker?
Well, of course.
Okay.
Like, he has his moments. Don't get me wrong.
Well, what would one be?
For one,
shortcomings.
Shortcomings. I don't pay attention to people who don't make any sense. That's a shortcoming.
Well, that's not really a shortcoming. That's just logical.
Well, it's just, I'm too humble to really. So see, here's this: is that.
He's at a loss for words.
No, I'm not at a loss for words. I'm about to say something. I'm trying not to make it very hurtful. I feel like
that's not going to work. You don't know how to do that.
He literally
you might as well just say
he doesn't understand the concept of self. I guess he understands the concept.
He understands the concept of it. He just can't.
But it's foreign. It's foreign to him.
I will say this: I have to turn on the Klingon subtitles to understand it. People use self-deprecating verbiage. They do it to avoid actually making change. It's like by saying it out loud and trying to accept it, you normalize it. and you don't internalize it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
There's like this thing where you have people who are they're always talking about, I'm always late. I'm always late. Well, if you know you're always late,
you should probably
stop
change that.
Do something about it, you old crone.
Exactly. It's like I've never, you know how I
Buy
am.
yourself a friggin' watch.
Yeah. So instead of making a joke about it, perhaps look deeply. Like if I'm late, if I'm going somewhere, which I'm never late, if I'm going somewhere and I realize
You were late today.
I was out helping the sick and the dying, I'm sorry.
Well,
And plus, I had other obligations, and I am too caring and empathetic to just put myself above others.
That's somewhat truthful.
Thank you, Enrique. This is why.
his ego doesn't need to be stroked anymore.
Stroking.
Stoked. Is it stroked or stoked?
Both.
It could be both.
Strokage?
Strokage. When you are
You
out.
stoke a fire to make it bigger.
Right.
You can stroke a fire
You
to
can
make it.
stroke a fire, and I guess that will make you hotter. I'm just saying is that I wouldn't. Well, man,
Most people do self-deprecation as a form of humor, like Conan O'Brien or any of these guys. I mean, they all like crack a joke about. It's usually for
humor, yes, but this awkward self-deprecating of, yeah, if only my wife loved me.
Okay, nobody. Nobody does that.
No, that's
Please.
Wait.
I do it all the time.
Yes, but that's why we have you. That's why we have you. But Enrique, you self-deprecate because of I think that's your way of making conversation.
Yeah.
I think that's like your go-to
It's like
thing.
a coping.
But just walking around saying I suck at stuff is not fun for anybody.
Well, no, but it can happen like that.
It does happen.
It does happen.
Okay, but we veered very far off course.
No, this was a good.
Much like Space Race.
Space Race, in my opinion,
Sucks.
sucks horrendously.
Horrendously. I redline there. That's
It's
one
okay.
thing I don't do well. I redline a lot on our podcast. I get very loud for no reason.
It's okay.
I should use a much lower voice.
So that's going to do it for this.
Wait a minute. Why are you cutting us off?
Because we got to go.
Because of Dan?
Because of our podcast last week.
Oh, we got to go because Dan, this is
breaking. This is breaking my brain.
This podcast is in the future, but we're about to record one that we're going to put out now because we're going to be featured on Podbeam, and we want to have a guest on that might make our podcast better. Is that what's happening?
I'm sure Dan will love to hear that.
Mm-hmm. Dan Hughes. There's a man who doesn't deprecate.
I'm Dan.
All right. Until next time, I'm Gabby.
Yes, this is Jerry.
This is an.
Thank you for listening to the Board Game Snobs. Stay classy.